that we will have vaccines which have proof of concept much earlier than the to be fair. And there are very large numbers of people around the world, very good groups, excellent ones in the UK, first vaccine tomorrow into man here, but there is a long path between having a vaccine that's proof of concept, and until we have either a vaccine or a drug, it doesn't, I mean, we have managed other epidemics without a vaccine, as an example where it's managed with a drug, or combinations of drugs.
Welcome
But
to the
until we
Desert
have
Safari, where the
those
Formula One
yes,
circus has
what we have
rolled into
available
town.
are social.
We're expecting the cars to appear out on track shortly to start today's practice session.
And Jordan, the one thing I just add, and it's really important to reinforce this message, the lower we get the R level, the transmission
An
rate,
opportunity
the
here
more...
then for the drivers to learn the track and learn the car, and of course work out all the little kinks that show up when the teams put these cars together at the circuit. Anthony Davidson, this is all very familiar to you, of course, so why don't you give us an idea as to what the drivers will be getting up to in these sessions?
I'd say the first responsibility for drivers during group practice is in gathering data for correlation purposes, which allows the engineers to match real-life data against simulation. Secondly, the driver then needs to dial themselves into a circuit that they may not have driven around for a full year, which is a fact that's often overlooked. And then you finally focus on the details of car setup and the tyre wear. It's critical to have a good relationship with your engineer here so you can make the right adjustments at the right time to the car that ultimately bring out the performance you're looking for.
Looking at the functionality and the way the app would work, the more options, the two big factors, and I think it leads into the question that Gordon Raymond was asking, the two factors that will help with the great rollout on track, transition to next phase, and when the evidence getting the transition that was done, and the level of testing of the functionality of the app in order to allow us to look at the various different control in the different versions of the product, because we need to get as low as possible. So that's why we're doing some checking into not just the testing solution, why those things to do for that. We need to see
yeah, just on the contact tracing app, do you think the British public would be willing to install the government hardware and give it the necessary capability and would instead? And what size the quantum public would don't have the hardware that would feel confident using?
That's a very good point. I think there's a lot of different perspectives right now being very successful at the trying to use that way out in the way that also that so the innovation and come up with something that we can then so I think people who understand that we're trying to we've got to do the work. Very good from the place.
You've already said health secretary of capacity, community and those are people who take the blood pressure area where the number of cases is much lower than other parts of the country or the big cases. And therefore, most of the might go up to it's going to be ready to take its first hit with that WPC. And secondly, the first necessary, you know that 2/3 of SMEs in Bristol have stopped trading for pound gas. If Bristol figures have indeed reached low levels, would you consider earlier exit from lockdown or would you start in here?
Thank you very much. Based on this, so I'll go on to the fact that what we do impact on global safeguard and this itself
Boxer snap.
Didn't catch that. Say again.
Boxer snap.
Say that again. We're having trouble receiving. Understood. Stop with that.
Therefore, the actual people is likely
There's static over the radio. Say again. Okay, we can take you this lap.
It still will get flexibility. If you think about the people concern that I was talking about earlier, the direct deaths, but also the indirect deaths, having the Nightingale capacity, enormous help from the armed forces in setting up so far, does actually mean that when we're planning forward, this does give us a number of options we would not have had if those were not there. Now we shall see how they are properly used. I'm absolutely delighted that Nightingales have really not had to be used in great numbers, potentially because that is a sign of success. We have had been able to cope with this within the emergency environment of the NHS already. But the NHS is going to be under pressure from COVID for really quite a long time. And having that flexibility is an additional thing we can work through in terms of how best to deploy NHS resources for the next several months. So look, small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy. They're going through a really tough time right now. SMEs create the lion's share of jobs in this country that have done over the same period. So we absolutely want to see them through this crisis and they'll be part of Britain bouncing back in due course. But the risk right now, not just for public health, but for all of those small businesses, is that if we move too early to ease up in the way that your question suggested, not only would we get a second spike in the virus, we would need to have a
When you
second
get a chance,
lockdown,
make sure to
which
run some
is
of our
the
practice
economic
programs.
and all of the
They don't all
uncertainty
need to be done in
that
one
goes with
session,
it.
but there's
I
valuable
think
data there to help
in
raise
terms of,
strategy
the
and
support
guard
given
development.
to Bristol City Council, they've been allocated more than £88 million as part of the government's business support package. We've identified 8,000 business properties which may be eligible for grants. More than 4,000 grant payments have been made, and on top of that, we've got the loan guarantee, the coronavirus jobs retention scheme, the third of that payment, absolute and other cash grants. So I take your point that we're the heart and soul of this country's small businesses. We'll do everything we can, but I think it would be counterproductive, if not dangerous, if we ease up too early, not just for public health, but also for entrepreneurs. Would you like to come back on anything? With the last one.
The only thing I wanted to just a little bit more detail on the article as part of the Nightingale School in Bristol. So I know you said they've been helpful in setting it up, but are they also going to be helping staff as well with this up and running?
But the way that the military tend to work with all the Nightingale hospitals that are passed on to CBS to supplement is to support what the NHS workers are doing. And so it depends on the specifications for each Nightingale hospital, but they're there to support the NHS staff. Nick, is there anything you'd add to that for Bristol?
Yes, in Bristol we have allocated some combat medics to act as nurses and the like.
Our best lap so far is a 1:35.0.
Thanks very much, Kate. That's all I think for this press conference. Thank you.
Dominic Raab ending the daily news conference, he said he realised the lockdown was a huge strain on business and people at home, but the greatest risk, he said, was a second spike in the virus. That could then lead to a second lockdown. If we keep to the plan, we can get through this. And then something interesting from Chris Whitty, he said that the peak had been reached, but we should not expect any sudden fall away in deaths. And then he said the answer is a vaccine or antiviral drugs. But in the absence of those, some sort of social measures would be needed till at least the end of the year or through the calendar year. And then also Dominic Raab said there was light at the end of the tunnel, there was a glimmer of hope, but we're not there yet. That, I think, was in response to a question from our political editor, Beth Rigby, who is still in Westminster, as you can see. And Beth, what did you make of it?
Well, Mark, there was some real plain speaking there from the Chief Medical Officer about what our lives might look like in the coming year. I thought he was very frank, very open, very honest about some of the choices and trade-offs that ministers are going to have to make. I was trying to push Dominic Raab on how he saw the roadmap of our lives over the coming months now that we are at the peak. He really didn't want to talk about that. He talked quite rightly about avoiding a second wave, which is consensus now across government, across experts, that we must avoid that. But how do we come out of the lockdown? And Chris Whitty said a number of really, really significant things there. The first thing he said was that we can't let the R go above 1 for any long period of time. Now, to put that into plain English, that basically means that the transmission rate has to be below 1. It basically means the spread is limited because the disease is being passed on to less than one other person on average. And he said that it can go up quickly and that some form of social distancing, some form of the measures that we are living with are probably going to have to be in place for a long period of time in order to make sure that the transmission rate doesn't begin to move around, the NHS doesn't move to a second peak. In fact, he said it was wholly unrealistic to expect to return to normal life. He said the disease is not going to be eradicated, it is not going to disappear, and he said that there will be a series of choices and ministers will have to decide on what mix-up measures they will put in place in order to perhaps get back to a new normal way of life, but with some of these measures in place. What could it mean in practice? Well, it could mean some shops are open, some aren't. It could mean that some children go back to school in a socially distanced way and some don't. These are all hypotheticals about what the government could do, but he also said that there was an incredibly small chance of a vaccine in another year. That's what Professor Whitty said. So what does that tell you? It tells us that we are going to be living with coronavirus without a vaccine for another year perhaps. And that means that we're going to have to get used to another form of life in order that we can begin to have some sort of interaction, but that we don't get that second peak. And that is just lifting the lid a bit on some of the very difficult political choices that ministers are going to have to make in the coming weeks as the deaths begin to drop, that the curve now plateauing begins to really flatten, and they have to think about how do we begin to slowly reopen the economy, try and get children back to school, try and reopen shops, whilst ensuring that we don't become overwhelmed by coronavirus again and have that second peak. That would be very damaging not only to the NHS but also to the economy.
Yeah, I just want to come back to you in a moment, Beth, on another issue, but let's just listen to exactly what you've been talking about there. Let's listen to the Chief Medical Officer, who was very interesting on this. Let's listen.
The probability of having days any time in the next calendar year are incredibly small. Realistic about that. So we're going to have to rely on other
social measures, which of course are very socially disruptive, as everyone is finding at the moment. But until that's wrong, that's what we'll have to do. We have to do the best combination that maximises the output. But it's going to take a long time, and I think we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, it could take a long time. We need to be aware of it. Some pretty plain speaking from also plain speaking from him on this whole issue of care homes. And I think the quote was, we have to expect, unfortunately, a high mortality rate in
So far, our fastest lap is a 1:35.0.
Today and yesterday about the mismatch between the reported government figures, which are the hospital deaths, and then the weekly ONS figures coming out, which is showing that the weekly deaths in the total, and it's showing a much higher number. And Chris Whitty being very clear there too, that in care homes there are many vulnerable elderly people, and there will be higher mortality rates. And he said that in time we will get a better understanding about those levels of deaths in care homes, which is absolutely tragic. He did say that once it's very hard to prevent that because of the easy transmission of the disease. People are going in and out of care homes, but he again was pretty straightforward on that. He was also interested, wasn't he, on personal protective equipment, because as I asked him, we've heard lots about the problems with Margaret, and really what people want to know is when are you going to get it sorted. And he said there, didn't he, that he couldn't promise that it would be sorted in the next 2 or 3 days, but that they really wanted to get a handle on it. And he said he was keeping a really close eye on it because he personally cared so much about those NHS workers. But again, it felt like that was an area where the government still needed to work on. He said that we weren't underwater at a national level, but it was tight in terms of the supply chains at a local level. So I still think we could see localised issues and problems for NHS staff just trying to keep safe when they're doing their jobs.
Okay, Beth, thank you very much indeed. I think the main point, the main takeaway is the signs are not pointing to an early relaxation of the lockdown. Beth, for now, thanks very much. And the latest press conference came off the back of another set of grim figures, despite the government saying we are at the peak or through the peak. Our correspondent Katie Spencer is in the newsroom, and Katie, just talk me through the latest numbers.
Yeah, well, there might be a little bit of talk today of the outbreak peaking, but we're way off seeing that reflected really in the number of deaths. We're still talking about horribly high numbers of deaths in the UK today, passing 18,000, and we can give you a bit more detail on exactly what we've seen in the today. We've seen another 665 people have confirmed to have died after testing positive for the coronavirus in England. That's less than yesterday, but more than Monday, which gives you an idea that the figures are still moving around quite a bit. There's a lot of variance day to day. The largest number in today's update is 173 in London. Now, yesterday it's the northwest. Worth noting that you can't read too much into these individual locations because it's quickly to customer reporting data. The London figures have increased significantly today because Barking to the extra numbers, they recorded 70 of those 173 deaths, and only 20 of those happened in the last week. So for whatever reason that trust may have, they've ended up entering a lot of historic deaths into this 24-hour period of data collection. Doesn't necessarily mean that London has suddenly seen a spike in cases, it's just to do with the data. What that does though is it takes the total number of confirmed hospital deaths in England to 16,272. Now let's have a quick look at the picture in Scotland as well. There have been 77 more deaths in hospitals in Scotland, taking the total now to 1,062. That's slightly higher than the increase that we saw yesterday. 15 further hospital deaths in Wales, slightly lower than the increase that we saw yesterday, bringing the total in Wales now to 624. And for Northern Ireland, there's been a further 34 deaths, taking the total in Northern Ireland now to 250 people that have died with coronavirus in hospitals there. So we are way off really seeing the outbreak reflected really in the number of death figures that we're receiving at the moment. They're continuing to rise. What I did want to show you quickly though is one of the slides that Professor Whitty showed during the Downing Street briefing. Now, this showed the 7-day rolling average in the number of global deaths for various countries. You can see with UK just slightly below France there in red. And what Chris Whitty wanted to say, the point that he made was even in those countries where the epidemic started earlier than ours, you can still see the downward slope in deaths in other countries has been fairly slow, and what he warned us, or what he cautioned was that we should expect this too in the UK. So while there's good news really today that people are saying that the outbreak has peaked,
I know it's tempting to focus entirely on the race, but we should put a bit of time aside to run the qualifying sim programme. Try to run it before the end of FP3 if you can.
Today, the latest figure is under 20,000, but the number of tests available is nearly double that, meaning thousands are going unused every day. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, in his first Prime Minister's questions, challenged Dominic Raab over this discrepancy.
What does the First Secretary expect to happen in the next 8 days to get us from 18,000 tests a day to 100,000 tests a day? First Secretary, he rightly raises the crucial issue of testing, which is going to be an incredibly important part of our strategy for transitioning from the current social distancing measures. But I do have to just correct him. Our capacity for tests is now 40,000 per day. So I think that is an incredibly important milestone. And of course, he's right to say that in the final week that will require a big increase. But of course, with a project like this, it does require an exponential increase in the final days and the final week of the programme. I can reassure him that we're working with a range of commercial partners to boost the testing to get to that 100,000 tests per day. I didn't need correcting because I gave the figure for the actual tests a day. The First Secretary says that there's capacity for 40,000 tests a day. And I think it's really important that we fully understand what the First Secretary just said, because that means that the day before yesterday, 40,000 tests could have been carried out.
So let's take a closer look at the 18,206 tests were carried out in England and Wales in 24 hours. Up until 9 a.m. yesterday, those are the latest figures we have. That's despite the government saying there is now capacity for nearly 40,000 tests, but they pledged to reach 100,000 tests a day by the end of the month, which is just 8 days away. Now, improved testing will help scientists understand who is most at risk from the disease, and a group of 17 Black, Asian and minority ethnic non-executive directors in the NHS have written to the Health Secretary pressing for more research into what appears to be disproportionate deaths among the AME community. Sky's Inzaman Rashid joins me now. So, Inzaman, what does the letter say?
Well, firstly, Mark, this is a letter from 17 people, all from the Black, Asian, minority ethnic background, directing it to Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary and the Chief Executive of NHS England, Sir Simon Stevens. And it's incredibly important, they feel, because they feel it potentially could be another step into getting answers as to why it seems that Black, Asian, minority ethnic people are disproportionately being affected by COVID-19 and subsequently dying as well. Early reports suggest that there are a disproportionate number of BAME people in intensive care with coronavirus, and also some other reports suggesting as well that there is a high number of BAME people in hospitals with coronavirus in terms of people who work there. This letter specifically is from non-executive directors of the NHS. They call themselves the CECOL Group, and they say that the CECOL Group would like to offer you and the NHS an opportunity to utilise us as an independent advisory group as we all navigate around solutions on how we mitigate the impact of COVID-19. And they're going to say in particular on the BAME community. They say that we have already pulled together a series of pertinent questions for our respective boards. So those questions they've got on a separate page where they are hoping to ask NHS trusts right across the country different questions into how
how many BAME people they've seen on their intensive care units, and also the questions around PPE and whether BAME staff in the NHS are getting the sufficient PPE.
Now, just be a bit more specific about what the data is actually showing.
So Sky News has done some analysis, Mark, and he found actually that of the NHS and social care staff that have sadly died from coronavirus, 72% of them are from a black, Asian, minority, ethnic background, and that's in comparison to only 21% of BAME people that actually are from a BAME background in the NHS. So we know there's around 44% of doctors which are BAME in the NHS, around 24% of nurses are BAME in the health service. But NHS England have also put out some figures as well, Mark, and they are relatively new figures. It's the first time they've actually published figures around ethnicity and death. If we go back to some of the graphs there, we could see that 19% of those affected by coronavirus are from a black and minority ethnic background. That's what NHS England say, and that's quite similar to the proportion of the population. The concerning thing is within the black African and Caribbean population, they say that that's around double the number of people that are being affected in comparison to the general population. So this letter in particular, this group feel that is an arm to the government for them to offer the expertise advice in terms of medical advice, NHS advice, and social and cultural advice, giving their background, and what they hope is that they can get some questions in, and more importantly the answers into why it seems that BAME people are...
What do you want in your burgers, my boy? What sauce do you want?
This is virus pandemic, global emergency coming up.
What sauce do you want in your burgers?
Really work. Are we speaking to the mother of the house?
We are the other country, but times are hard and few. Then rise up another country, for we will be born anew. I may not touch your hands, but I can touch your soul. We can strive towards one common goal. Our nation will rebuild together, and from the dark days rise forever.
Donating from Harrison Fund and converting your benefit streams from £1. This year will match £1 per rand. Disney will kickstart by donating £2 million to the fund. Disney Pharmacists UK.
That is it, great. But then I get a great deal in the hospital. If you get a score, every score is for free. Forever. Get a score, don't cost. Get a score, better deals, but all those credit cards anymore. Order your credit score for free forever with KiaScore. Get a score, better deals on loans and credit cards. Check your free credit score now at KiaScore.com. When you say March 2020, I will never forget that. When the president told us what we did, I have accordingly directed the South African National Defence Force deployed to support the South African Police Service.
We're top of the speed trap, 195.0 miles per hour.
We will be expected to do our duty. The country I shall put on my uniform, and I shall serve.
With the creamy decadence of double cream bliss from Clover, yogurt has never been so irresistible.
Winter Wonderland brings a weight with Disney's Frozen 2 and Hot Sauce.
Again, with two sisters.
Promise sweet videos together, okay? I promise. I believe in you, Elsa. More than anyone or anything. Press the green button on your remote and join Elsa and Anna on a magical adventure. Rent Disney's Frozen 2 and win one of 3 Party in a Box grand prizes. There are lots of cool Disney Frozen 2 gifts
Yeah, that one is our normal one. That's the new one.
Our world is facing challenges like never before. We all need to stand together, be there for each other. To our frontline warriors, risking all for us all, we're there with you. To the invisible heroes, unseen, unsung, we're there with you. To our very own essential workers, keeping the lines open and the lights on, we're there with you. And to our customers who are at home, we're there with you too. Keeping you company, keeping you safe, and keeping it remote. Together we stand, together we will conquer.
Welcome back. It was a truly historic session in Parliament this afternoon. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab and new Labour leader Keir Starmer went head-to-head in the first ever virtual Prime Minister question in line with social distancing rules, and 50 MPs ready to sit in the House of Commons, with others answering questions from home via video screens installed around the chamber. The new arrangement is due to stay in place until May the 12th at least, but does it open the doors for a new way, perhaps, of working in Parliament? I'm joined now by Labour MP and Mother of the House joining us. So did it work for you?
Well, I don't think it did. I think it will improve as it goes along, but I was quite sceptical at the outset of having what they call a hybrid model, which is some MPs in the House of Commons chamber and some in their homes doing it remotely. But I think it worked quite well because it had Dominic Raab, who was saying
Our best lap so far is a 1:35.0.
Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition, and then MPs from their constituencies asking questions. And paradoxically, I thought it actually really highlighted the important roles of MPs in their constituencies, because instead of there being a sort of micro top on the third row up on the back benches, you could see their whole face in their constituency asking about, for example, the MP for Hastings concerned about the tourist industry, the MP for Kingston talking about an ICU doctor who died there. I thought it was quite compelling. I think it's really unleashed a genie. I don't think it'll be put back in the bottom. I think things are going to change for good.
Yeah, that's interesting, and it's an interesting point too about being in their constituency. But do you think it's possible to hold the government to account properly remotely? I mean, it's much easier for some reason in the House itself, isn't it? It's like doing an interview face to face is much easier. Do you think it is possible to hold the government to account satisfactorily?
Online, that much.
And say what's going on there. I think you saw them today. That's very possible for them to do that.
I was trying to think this afternoon on something TV.
You've got to be able to put the government on the spot to ask them questions and to see
What's the forgotten name?
the right one's answers. And I think, ironically, it's easier if you do that.
But we've got a problem.
Cheering you on, and you can.
Means I've got to take the TV off because we've got to plug the HDMI cable in the back there.
I think in a more sedate situation, there's more focus on now on the arm.
We'll just take it out the back of the DSTV.
And I think that's actually
from the back of the DSTV into the laptop.
Actually finding out on behalf of the public.
If you find some time, remember that corner exit is more important than corner entry. Slowly, fast out, smooth on the power.
Style for Boris Johnson when he comes back, and obviously we all wish him a really speedy recovery. He does a lot of sort of bluff and bluster and cheering on his own side from the dispatch box. And I think really in the sort of setting we've got now, quite apart from the fact that it's a very, very serious issue, I think that sort of style doesn't work when it's partly remote. There's much more focus on the substance of the answers, and that's just a good thing.
Yeah, and we do wish him well as he convalesces, replaced by Dominic Raab today. But Boris Johnson is talking to colleagues, it seems, a conversation of some length with Donald Trump yesterday. I mean, how soon should we be back? Could he appear, do you think, remotely mostly before, one of the liaison committee, I think it is, or PMP.
Well, I don't see why he shouldn't be able to do Prime Minister's questions.
Hello, Mark, how are you?
Checkers or another town, 10 Downing Street, or wherever he's
That's
working.
good, yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to look funny and ask you, because I just forgot the name of the website that we go on for the movies.
All parts of government. Then I think part of that is...
Kick me out. No, come on, Mark. You always like to talk to the other color. Look at it? Yeah, but not now, no. Can you sing it to me?
Just say it, I can't remember.
Okay, I'm just eating at the moment.
Sammy TV.
Okay, just want to remind you to keep an eye on your tyre usage. We have to give 2 sets back at the end of this session, so they'll be unavailable for the rest of the weekend. We'll hand over the 2 most worn sets, so don't ruin tyres you might want to use later.
Oh, not TV. Not TV.
How do you spell it?
N-I. Okay, I just sign on.
Just put up on my don't.
Say that again, Mark.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Night
TV.
Night TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. I just cannot remember it on your own.
Okay.
No, I did.
No.
I did.
So you should remember these things.
No.
Yeah, but we were actually trying to remember it. That's why I decided to call you Working Day.
Doesn't matter. You just said one of these things.
Our best lap so far is at 1 minute
Yeah,
35.0.
okay. I know.
So what do you think? What do you think of that?
Hamburgers. And you? Macaroni and cheese and bacon.
Nice. Bacon, macaroni.
Chicken and bacon.
No, really.
Yummy.
That's the bomb.com.
The bomb.com. That sounds great. No.
Now we're eating.
I'm chowing on my burger. I'm chowing my burger. Yeah. Thanks, you too.
Okay. Thank you, my bye. Bye. Night TV.
There must be proper instinct. He said, well, it'll be consent, and you consent. But I think we all know from this digital situation that there's so much complexity in what we're consenting to. It's not good enough to just use it as You've got really tough regulations.
Yeah, just in 30 seconds. So you want to cook and use for purposes unrelated to disease control. Do you think in 30 seconds does it mean separate legislation, do you think, on rating?
Absolutely, it does need separate legislation.
Okay.
To protect people from, yes, to protect people from their personal information being used and used wrongly. I mean, these tracing apps are going to be very important to help us end the lockdown, but we've got to protect people.
Okay. 30 seconds to tonight, about 5. Chinese president demonstrated in Virginia, he was carrying a firearm for the country's economy to reopen. I mean, if Walmart, Lowe's, places like that can say with hundreds of people, what that does is it congregates people in those small areas, and everything opens up to the people that spread out more.
Not to say to protect infections of coronavirus, but one say, well, you've also got 2 guns in your pocket. Why?
But I carry every day. It doesn't have to be a special occasion for me. We're in America. This is what I do. I carry every single day. And luckily, I've never had to use it in my 51 years that I've been on the force. Hypothermia links was the hypothermia. So are these protests widespread? And do they have the support and encouragement of Donald Trump?
I think they represent a small but important slice of the American population. I think what we saw on show there was American individualism, that kind of libertarian approach to things where people believe it is their right both to carry guns but also to express their opinion. I don't think when you look at the statistics and the polls being done that the majority by any means of America thinks that they should end these shutdowns, but some states are making moves already, and we've seen the kinds of protests happening there. We saw Amanda in Virginia, but also places like Colorado, Montana, Washington State, Arizona as well. There is frustration. People want to get back to life. We've seen in Florida, Mark, as well, the beaches already heaving with people. Now, last week the White House did issue new guidance, just as a kind of 3-step phase back. But as part of that, they are asking states to try and ensure that they have no new infections before they take place. Despite that, the states are already pressing ahead before they actually reach that point.
Okay, and Claudia, I've been seeing some trailers for this documentary of yours later. Tell us a little more about that.
Specific information or make certain changes to the car during a pit stop, you can tell me what you want over the radio. Press the radio button to activate the system, and you can either speak the command or select it manually from the radio screen that will appear on the multifunction display. While the radio is active, cycle through command groups with the MFD button.
Still is. So what we've done is go inside 2 hospitals, one in Yonkers, one in New York City, to try and understand what the pressures are. Of course, part of it is personal protective equipment, so we start the way of trying to access that. But a lot of people have also been really candid with us about the psychological toll of COVID-19, and here's just a flavour of what we can take.
We've never seen anything like this. Personally, in the long shot, I would feel pressure on 6 people that put me in evidence to the other positions to have justice for.
Staggering number.
I've never had anything like that in my entire 20-plus year career. America is not Italy, but, it turns out they're really much worse. So it's definitely something that we have to think about, and it's hopefully going to change in the future, because this is unnecessary. Sad.
Why do you think?
We want to do it. We want to do it.
Our best lap so far is a
The North
1:35.0.
isn't alone. It wasn't the only country that was flat-footed when it came to this crisis. It has never experienced a pandemic like this, and like so many, it was ill-prepared. I think what we've witnessed, though, are the extremes, both of the spread here of inequity and politics too. Some of the disparities on show in America have been particularly alarming. We went to Louisiana. African Americans here are struggling disproportionately. 70% of those dying in Louisiana are black, and yet they represent only 32% of the population. I spoke to one family, the Franklins. They've lost 4 members in just 12 days. It's hard to conceive the level of loss that they're facing in that particular state. It's down to a combination of factors. People will tell you poor access to healthcare, poor health as well, suspicion around certain hospitals, and we're in those front-facing jobs as
well. And surface-based economy, they are the people going out every day. They don't have the luxury of space, and so they have had it really, really tough.
Really, thank you very much indeed. And you can see coronavirus, America's Reckoning, in full tonight on Sky Atlantic at 10 p.m.
We're top of the speed trap, 195.0 miles per hour.
This is virus pandemic global emergency coming up. Could obesity be a key risk factor when it comes to COVID-19?
I think so. I think it's funny that, what is that? If you're fat, does coronavirus attack you more? And I think it does. Because you know, Americans are very overweight because they eat fucking burgers this big. They eat everything in America is big. I thought about that the other day. I thought Americans are big people. They're overweight. That new patty was nice, eh?
It's the little things we miss. A high five, a handshake, and the reason we're missing all these little things, well, that's caused by a little thing too. So small we can't even see it. But to get back to all these things, there's just one little thing we need to do.
The car settings screen on your multifunction display will allow you to change various settings as you drive. Open the display with the MFD button. You can then navigate up and down to the setting you want to change.
You can choose to manage everything else, but not your data. Get more out of life with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# today.
Join Africa's largest trade and investment fair in Rwanda. IHTF gives you access to more than 1,100 exhibitors and 10,000 visitors and buyers and more than 5,000 conference delegates from more than 55 countries. Participate in trade and investment deals with $40 billion as business and government come together to explore business and networking opportunities at the International Exhibition, which will include the Creative Africa Exchange. Brought to you by the African Export-Import Bank and their premium partners. The IHTF 2020 Transforming Africa.
South Africa. These are our MVPs, our men and women of the match. The brave frontline workers tirelessly fighting the battle against COVID-19. And multi-choice, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs are proud to be supporting them from the sidelines. We can't say thank you enough.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1 minute 35.0.
And emergency services. But Mzansi, they need your help too. So stay home and do your part to protect them. Let's stand together, stay safe, and stay home.
We don't just have BS, we have the latest BS available. These boxes on GST Catch Up are the latest, complete seasons of the best series for you to binge on. Are you serious? Just push the catch up button on your remote. Go to boxes.
and your reach for the money. Make sure your Explorer is connected to the internet, and you'll find the box sets on all sets.
Interesting.
And of course, box sets are also on the DSTV now, on your device or computer, to stream anywhere, anytime.
That sounds so good.
Box sets on DSTV will compete latest season of the best series for you to feel every
Are we Nancy? How are you? Good, man. Why are you sitting in the dark again? You going to what? Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you only got FIFA 19?
Yes.
Every day?
Right now, they're watching on way downstairs.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what time do you think you will be online?
It depends. Listen, I'll say around 10, but I doubt it because most people will say my best will be still downstairs. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. How are you doing?
Alright. So you haven't played Grand Theft Auto? Yes.
Rush.
I used to.
But why?
Yeah.
But you still apparently these people play a lot online. I saw it on Twitch.
I know. Have you seen my gaming with England? I was international game.
I saw it.
Have you left me any likes?
I'm looking for your YouTube name. I thought you uploaded on Twitch. That's what I'm looking at.
No, not on Twitch. On YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is Twitch? What is Twitch?
It's an online streaming game. Online streaming.
It's also like putting it on YouTube type of thing.
Sort of, but like on Twitch you play, most people play online a lot. So
How many people play on it online and then putting it on YouTube and that?
it depends which type of game you're gonna play. That's the thing.
Ah, okay.
There's a type of play.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So have we ever heard anything from Michael Ford?
I talked to him last week. He said he's alright. He said he's alright.
Yeah, he doesn't answer my call. It's just like you.
Because I'm always busy, bro. You call the wrong place at the wrong time. That's why.
Okay, but then at night, can I call you then?
Only if I'm done. Yes. Only if I'm done.
But how you gonna know when he's done?
But how do I know if you are done?
Then I'll call and I'll give you a message. Because sometimes I call, they call me downstairs, they do something. Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, well, we have to do what we have to do.
Sorry?
We have to do what we have to do.
Sorry, I can't hear you, bro.
Ah.
I said, I'll call you back.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Albert, thank you very much indeed. Let's then go to Professor Openshaw here in the UK.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1:35.0.
What we just described there, is this showing up in research here as well?
Yes, indeed it is. There's a big national study which is a collaboration between many different centres run in the UK. And
Can you hear me now?
17,000 patients who've been
Okay, cool.
hospitalised, which I think is
What was it saying to you, Nana?
And if we look at our study, again, it does connect.
Now I can remember.
Yeah, now I'm confused. But anyway, that game on Gran Turismo, I don't play that game.
Oh, yes.
I don't play it. I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Because I usually love Super Broadcast a lot.
Oh yeah, and the reason why I don't.
I was thinking play online against other competitors. I saw when I was seeing people on stream, on screen, they play different competitions.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's say online, let's say online, it's like a Chinese set online,
Yeah.
online, or something, then you go to the grand finals. I don't know how many races are there, but I know there's a lot. So I was thinking kind of guys love to race.
Wow. No, I don't play that game at all. I don't like it because you can't buy cars.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes time to build your money to buy cars. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy cars. If I remember correctly, you can buy cars on PlayStation 4. You don't have to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Okay.
Your current levels of tyre wear and damage.
Anyway, I just wanted to check how you're doing as well.
And then again, to cycle the tyres and damage screen.
It's been quiet at my area. Nobody's walking outside.
Same. Here where I am is so quiet. And guess what? I hate this coronavirus.
Well, what can we do?
Yeah, but guess what? I hate it because I can't go do my driving.
You gotta know your cars.
Yeah. Anyway, I will.
If you look at America right now, it's worse than I thought.
Of what?
If you look at America right now, it's worse.
Yes, I know. I'm watching the news. Yeah. Yeah, that guy, that president for America is stupid.
And he says Matt Hancock says he's reached the peak and they were taking people through the peak.
I don't blame the president.
Where do you think they are?
Yeah, but then how can you send people out to go do the normal thing and then get sick again? Yeah. Anyway, you must have a nice evening, Nash. Sure. Bye.
That's what you see in Italy and Spain, and that's what I'm expecting to see in the UK as well.
So he did point out this sort of steady graph, but once you go on the downward, he said it could be for quite some time, but the deaths do continue.
Yeah, that's not today. The ruling out of the 200 days, and basically like Italy or Spain.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1 minute 35.0.
Yeah, this is a question for you. Children are not allowed back at school for months. How do you think this could affect their long-term education?
Well, we